Tesla. Let's talk about leasing or buying. And really, don't make this mistake of there's actually hidden costs when you look to lease and try to do some of the, and we can do some of the math to see which one is the better deal for you, whether it's buying a Tesla or even leasing it instead, because there are some different situations where some could be better than others. But the first off, I'm going to start here on Tesla. So we actually have a deal spreadsheet that we keep down below in the description of all the best deals that are out there, and we try and keep track of all the lease interest rates because just like how when you finance a vehicle, you pay an interest rate, or maybe not when you're financing a Model 3 because it's 0%, but let's say Model Y at 1.99 or some of the other vehicles at 5.49, you're paying an interest rate when you're financing. Well, leasing, there also is an interest rate. Like here are some of the ones that are posted, and you can actually get this information from your Tesla rep that you're talking to. They have like a really fancy calculator in the showroom that shows you the interest rate when you're leasing it. And so we try and track it by asking a Tesla rep to send it to us. And you can see the best one right now is the Model 3 long range rear wheel drive at 2.76%. So that is something to keep in mind. Of course, when you're leasing, there's a bunch of different factors that come into play for it, like the initial capitalized cost, which you're starting at, plus like residual money factor, which is also known as interest, and a lot of other different things out there. But if you take a look at like the Model Y right now, or let's say you take a look at the Model 3, one thing's for sure to get right off of the bat, you definitely need to use a Tesla referral code, just like the one down below in the description. So you get 3 months of full self-driving that's added to your Tesla vehicle. So definitely check it out. Link down below in the description. But taking a look right off the bat, the Model 3 long range rear wheel drive is the best and one of the lower lease payments we've seen in a while. Here's why: because it's 0 down and 24 months. Last month, it was 1,000 down at 299 a month, which is kind of about the same. We have never seen a lower lease payment on a Model 3. And at that levels, it's almost a no-brainer when you look to lease it. And it makes sense because if we look at the interest rate as we were shown, it's 2.76%, which of course isn't zero, but we've never really seen a lower interest rate than 2.76%. One time we saw like an all-wheel drive at like the 2% or even 1.95%, but 2 or 1% is basically around the same thing with that. But there is a couple things you need to be aware about when you're looking to lease. And where you can find these different things are in the terms and conditions right here. But before we get into that, I mean, if you're looking to like if this is your first time buying a Tesla vehicle, leasing, you do get an easier rate of approval. So you might want to consider that first before looking to finance it, because you're really only financing the what you use in that 2 to 3 year term when you're leasing versus the whole price of the vehicle when you're financing. But here are the fees you need to be aware about. The first one here is that there is an acquisition fee of $695 when you're leasing. You do not pay that when you're financing. And when you're done with the lease, there is a $395 disposition fee when you turn it in. That is waived if you buy in or get another one. So that's a big variable if, or not necessarily big, but there is extra fees when you're leasing it that could be offset by financing it, or you won't get it when you're financing. Now, the biggest thing to decide whether you're leasing or if you're paying cash or financing is if you qualify for the 7,500 federal tax credit or not. In all three scenarios, if you qualify, you get the 7,500, and really you can choose whatever you want based upon lowest monthly payment or whatever fits in your term. But if you do not qualify, leasing is your only way to get the 7,500 federal tax credit. And of course, you could do a lease buyout pretty quickly right after that, but you do have to do it through Tesla Trust or Chase Leasing if you're or looking to do that for a lease buyout. But certainly then you can kind of get into which one makes the more financial sense for you. And that's where you have to kind of just add up all these different payments and see like, hey, if I'm paying $500 a month for 36 months, how much is that out of pocket? And what will the vehicle be worth at the end of it? You can actually see all these different terms, like how much the vehicle will be worth, which also labeled as option to purchase at 34,000. And then you can see like, hey, am I throwing money away at this, or is it worth it to kind of buy it and finance and really take the depreciation on yourself, because that's what you're doing when you're financing. And so right now, to give you the TLDR, Model Y lease is a lot of out of pocket and a lot in payments over the 3 years. And you probably will be better off just trying to buy it and financing it and taking on the depreciation yourself. But if you're someone that is always going through vehicles every 3 years, then leasing could be a good one because then you're always fresh with the newest technology. But if you add up some of these payments, like $500 for 36 months plus the down payment on the lease that they structured here at 299 down, you can see that adds up to quite the penny. I mean, I guess we could do the math here times 36 plus 3,000 plus like whichever taxes, because it could be either on the monthly payment or even upfront. I mean, just the rough numbers right here, that's $21,000 out of pocket for leasing and borrowing the vehicle. And then you have to, or you have the option to buy it at $34,000 after that. And so you can kind of add up both of those if you wanted to buy it. Now, if you're someone that is accident prone, or the vehicles are not necessarily kept up in the best condition, you could lease it, because then it's not your vehicle at the end and it's Tesla's problem to work with like depreciation and everything, but you still have to keep it upkeep to a certain amount and at least not have damage to a certain amount. They've got like these meters and everything that kind of rate like, is this actual damage or is it wear and tear? And so certainly you still have to keep the vehicle in good condition. It just doesn't have to be in perfect condition, so to speak. But hopefully that clears up the two different situations, and maybe you can kind of go from that and see which one is the better option for you, whether it's leasing or buying a brand new Tesla. But of course, don't forget to use a Tesla referral code, just like the one down below in the description, so you can get 3 months of full self-driving. But one thing's for sure, if you're buying a new Tesla, it does not come with this, and that's a set of all-weather floor mats. My favorite set so far right now is a set by 3W Liners, and I've tried all the different floor mats that are out there: 3D Mats USA, Tasmanian, and a bunch of Amazon ones, and by far these are going to be my favorite set. I've got them in our Model X, Model 3, Model Y, and also Cybertruck as well. And if you use our promo code down below in the description, not only will you save 25% off and get a set under $100, you'll support the channel as well. So definitely check out our partner 3W Liner floor mats down below in the description, and let's get on to the next topic. And I forgot to mention this because Tesla vehicles, electric vehicles, really luxury vehicles as well, depreciate a ton. I mean, if you take a look at this 2019 Model 3, it's worth $15,000 retail. So its wholesale is probably worth even lower than that. And so if you're someone that, doesn't necessarily want to deal with depreciation, you want a set loss, set monthly payment, set rental payment, then leasing is going to be your easier route. But if you're someone that wants to take it on yourself and finance the vehicle and deal with selling it at the end of 5 years or whichever, then of course financing or buying a vehicle could make more sense for you. So it kind of depends on which kind of route you want at the end of it. But the one thing's for sure, leasing isn't necessarily throwing money away, but what is for sure, buying a vehicle is, you're going to lose money no matter what, and how you swing it. And so I guess the name of the game is how much least amount of money you could lose at the end of the day, whether it's leasing or financing or buying, depending on your situation and everything.